Ah, good morning. The daily struggle for the light. Well, if I could show you a picture of what the light switches look like on here, I think you'd understand. It's a little bit too dark now. Oops, wrong color. It's got this crazy button that you can't really figure out how to adjust it. Guess we're going to have to go with that. Okay, maybe this will help a little bit. All right, so here we are. Good morning, fellow humans, fellow spiritual beings trapped inside a mortal body temporarily. My name is Edward Bevilacqua. Here we are at Department of Career Services, where our goal is to help you get from where you are to someplace better, from point A to point B. Good morning, Wada Baby. And we do it through this podcast. It's not really the podcast, it's what's down below, except for the weekends is a little bit different. The weekends are more of reflecting, reviewing, projecting into the future. During the week, it's much more practical. How do you get from here to there today? This is kind of, we take a little rest. We've been pushing all week. Take a little rest, turn around, look to where we're going, walk over here, walk over there, think about it, just ponder, make sure we're heading in the right direction, reflect, and what would the word be? Kind of like get some perspective on how far we've come and where we are going. So, the theme of today is non-believers are welcome here. Non-believers are welcome here. That's going to be our theme, but we're going to start our 5-part podcast, typically 5 parts, with the breathing. We're not going to do, we will do part 2, attitude of gratitude. We're going to do the review of yesterday after, do your projection after. We won't be talking about a plan for today. We'll be talking about more general type stuff instead of granular. So let's start with our breathing exercise. Breathing exercise. This again is the Huberman Stanford 2 inhale to get as much air in your lungs as possible, and the long exhale, getting everything out of your lungs, pushing out as much as you can. So here we go. There we go. I'm thinking maybe tomorrow my second exhale will be whistling. Always look at the bright side of your life as I exhale. As Lucy might say. Really. Okay, that's done. Part 2, attitude of gratitude, which we will do because it's important to start the day thankful for the things that we have, focused on the things that we have, not the things we don't have. So write in your book, I'm so happy and grateful now that. I'm so happy and grateful now that. Okay? And then you know the second step, turn it into a question. So your brain has something to focus on. Step 3, look inside, focus your attention inside of your brain and see the things, the answer to the question pop up. Okay. Next step would be planning. We're not going to talk about planning. We're going to talk more general stuff. Our theme of today, non-believers are welcome here. Wait, or how should I punctuate that? Non-believers are welcome here. Non-believers are welcome here. Yeah, I like that one better. So double punctuation emphasis on non-believers and here. What does that mean regarding believers? Are you welcome here? Well, on one level, everybody's welcome. Everybody's welcome. Let me have some coffee. Not the Randy Bissell brand, but it's dark and hot. Okay. Are believers welcome here? Well, everyone is welcome here. However, I was given a video to watch yesterday. And one of the things that came up was the Reformation, or the Protestant Reformation. And the commentator said Group A was sent to counter the Reformation. The point being, this group was special to counter the Reformation. However, the reality is all groups were sent to counter the revolution. All groups were sent. Group A was a brand new group. Why would you say, yeah, these were the main people sent, this new fledgling group that didn't really know much, didn't really have much history, didn't have many people in it. They were sent. They sent a few guys. The other groups had hundreds of people, hundreds of years experience. They too were sent. They weren't effective because they couldn't think like the non-believers. They couldn't think like the Protestants. They couldn't argue, debate with the Protestants because they couldn't see what the Protestants were saying. This new group was not people from the other groups. They were people that had different family backgrounds. They were the sons, the 4th, 5th, 6th, 13th child of families that had substance. They had no chance of inheriting. They had no chance of marrying the daughter of somebody from a wealthy family who had no sons. They had no chance of being the local village priest. They had no chance of most things. They could go in the military, or they could become educated, pursue science. So this group didn't see the world the way the other groups saw it. They were able to better see what the protesters, the Reformation people, saw. Since they could see it from this perspective, they were more effective in countering the Reformation. They weren't a special group of, and we're sending in the assassins, we're sending in the Navy SEALs to do it. No, these were guys who saw the problem differently. So our believers welcome here. Everybody's welcome here. However, the problem with being a believer is you can't see things from the perspective of a non-believer. It's like the old saying, if your only tool is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. I'm giving you the dogma. I'm giving you the doctrine. If you don't see it, it's your problem. Well, that's not working. How do I know? Last night, Sophie and I went to day 1 of a 2-day course in how to evangelize. Why is that necessary? Because when you go into churches, there are a lot more older people than younger people. There's more people over the age of 80. Why was that one out? There's more people over the age of 80 than there are people under the age of 10. Let's see if I can do something over here. Oh, this line went off. It's weird. Okay, there's more older people than younger. There's more people over 70 than 10, more people than under 10. There's more people over 60 than under 10. And so as these people, 60s, 70s, 80s, are dying off, there's going to be fewer and fewer. In fact, last night the message was 30 years ago, you have church on Sunday, church on Wednesday. Most churches and something else. Most are down to 1 day a week. Are believers welcome here? Yes, but it's not for believers. This is for the non-believer. The believers, the most educated in Catholicism, were not able to effectively counter the revolution and save the church, because that was what was at stake. The issue isn't whether they should have or shouldn't have. The issue is effectiveness. People who saw it the old way were not effective. They couldn't see it. And so when somebody comes along with a legitimate complaint, the old way of looking at things is to tell the people who see it this other way, no, you're not seeing it right. You're missing the point. Non-believers are welcome here. Non-believers are welcome here. A question from last night, I don't have my book handy, was, what is your relationship with Jesus today? Start to form a connection with people. First, get a connection. Once you have some connection, then you can ultimately ask the question, what is your relationship with Jesus today? Not, do you go to church? Not, are you a believer? What is your relationship with Jesus today? That's the question we're asking. When I go into the jails and do Bible study, I'm not interested in preaching to the choir, in quotes. They're already here. The question is, why aren't you a believer? And just as in the Reformations, the Catholic Church is saying, guys, you're just not interpreting the Bible correctly. And the other side is saying, no, you're not interpreting it correctly. It took people who were able to see it from the perspective of this other side. And that's one of the fundamental things of the education system from Group A, is to understand things from the perspective of the other side. And the belief is, if I want to change your mind, I need to understand what you believe better than you understand what you believe. So when I was going to school, communism was the thing, the Soviet Union. And the argument is, what's better, capitalism or socialism? And the Group A approach would be to say, well, I'm not going to win a debate with you about socialism by knowing everything about capitalism. What I need to know is more about socialism than you know. I need to be able to find and point out where are the weaknesses in socialism, and point out how capitalism is better than that. That's the approach that's used there. That was the approach used by Group A. To point out, to understand, and then point out this other way is a better way. And hence, 500 years later, all Protestant churches are equal to the number of people in the Catholic Church. So in 500 years, 200 flavors of Protestantism, 200 plus flavors of Protestantism combined equal the Catholic Church. There are more Catholics today than there were 500 years ago because the population is more. About 1.3 billion people identify as Catholic. Should they? I don't know. That's not the question here. The question here is, what about the other 2/3 of the world that are not Christian? What about the fact that here in Pahrump, the churches, we're at a church on Thursday, part of Love Thy Neighbor. They don't have a pastor. Beautiful church, more Baptist than Pentecostal. Fragmenting of Protestantism, more Baptist than Pentecostal, whatever that means. I don't know what it means, but I asked him, are you a Pentecostal church? He said, no, we're more Baptist. Okay, I don't know what a Baptist church is like. But are you a pastor here? No, we have no pastor. There's about 60 people remaining in the congregation. There are 200 seats in this very, very nice, very clean, elegant, well-kept mausoleum-type church. But that's the problem. And I think we need a different tool than a hammer. This podcast, what we're doing here, is a different tool. You can argue a hammer is better than a screwdriver. Sometimes. Is it always better than a screwdriver? Not if you're trying to remove a screw. Ah, gotcha. Okay, no. All right. So sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. The only simple point, we're at 17 minutes in, the simple point of today's talk is to see things the way other people see it, to be open to other ideas, to not give up. There's many paths. If somebody says, bake a cake, there's not one way. If you're going to bake a cake for somebody who's diabetic, it's going to be very different than baking a cake for somebody who's a super athlete that can eat anything. To have a value judgment and say, no, your cake isn't good enough. You need to do it. Here's the right way to do a cake. Here's the only way to do a cake, is sort of pretentious. But the result is going to be fewer people are going to eat cake. That's the problem. If you want less people to eat cake, stand by. My cake is the best cake, and everybody should eat my cake and watch what happens. Watch what happens. So, attitude of gratitude. Happy to be here. All are welcome. The path starts with the first step, and the first step is to believe your gift. Your life is a gift from God, an unconditional gift from God. It's yours to do with what you want. There are no strings attached. It's not an investment. It's not a gift that I'm giving you this bicycle, but if you don't use it properly, I'm going to punish you. No, it's not that kind of gift. It's here's a bicycle. You can do with it whatever you want. You want to use it. You want to sell it. You want to pour gasoline on it and burn it up. You want to leave it out in the rain. It's your gift to do whatever you want. I would be happy if you use it for its intended purpose, to use all of the attributes that the bike has, to really take advantage of that bike, to use it to the fullest and get as much enjoyment out of that bike as you can. That would be my preference, but it's your bike. You can do what you want, and I'm going to support you in that. I'm not going to punish you because you didn't use the bicycle as I wanted you to use it. Because then it's not really a gift, right? It's a setup. It's a trap. 1940. Okay, everybody. Some practical advice: how to get from point A to point B. Seek discomfort. Seek discomfort, which could be this video every day. Who knows? But come back every day. Make it part of your routine. Make it become a habit. That's what's important. is to do it every day. Move forward, appreciate the gift that God has given you. And with that, Shivas and Shalom. Oh, that's Friday night. Shivas and Shalom. Okay, everyone. And boom.